Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show. And as always, I say the same thing every week. I am so delighted to have you here with us today, joining us in this beautiful July day, wherever you are in the world. I hope it's lovely and you're all doing well. So, we have a lovely show in store. Usually we have a guest, but today it's me and you alone because there's some things that I want to talk about. And it's a good thing that occasionally it's just us kick back and we just kind of talk about whatever. And so I have something that I am passionate about that I want to talk to you about today. And I welcome all of you to call in, to chat with me anytime you want throughout the show. You can call in if you have a phone at 919 518 9773. Or you can come in on Skype, that's computers, that's plural, the number 2K voice, anytime you want. And we also have a chat that you can partake in and ask questions and just talk, back and forth. And if you notice, right near the video is a little space, and you put your name, nickname, whatever you like, and you can chat with us. So today I want to say hello to Nathaniel, who is our intern, and he's helping run the show today. So hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are
Good, good to
you?
hear. Yeah, this is my last day.
It's his last day.
A little sad, but this is a great time working with Amnon over the past few months, so I really enjoyed it.
So we're really grateful to have had Nathaniel here, and
Thank you.
it's cool because he's a really good kid. I know you're an adult, but to me, you're also a kid. So I have to say that, and I really compliment him because he's talented and he does something really, really well, which always just I kind of hear it and I kind of tuck it away, but he's a really good responder. And I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you because responding is so important. It's like email etiquette to me
Yes.
is knowing when the conversation is over and you've completed what you want to talk about.
Right, right.
Instead of people leaving people up in space. I mean, I don't like it when I'm left up in space. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I agree with you completely.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of kids?
Oh,
What do you
all
see?
the time. You send a message out, they either don't respond at all, or they think the conversation's over, and it's really not.
All
So,
right, you don't get all the information.
yeah.
So the question is, how many times have you all out there been involved in a conversation and you sometimes sit back and you go, wait a minute, did we agree upon the time? Did we agree upon this, that where we're going to meet? Or when something is misunderstood, it's because somebody didn't carry the conversation to the fullest
Right.
and you don't know where you stand. And so it's really important to have that, like the done feeling. And texting is another thing. Is it's not making the assumption that you're done. It's looking at it and going, am I done?
Right.
You know? So here's the thing. In email, you know what I do? One of the things I do, and maybe you have some things, is when I get an email that's needing a response, I go like line by line to make sure that I've addressed whatever the email is about. And sometimes I just answer the email in the body. That way, we can avoid certain things.
Yeah. So, I
anything?
mean, if
Yeah.
there's any specific questions that are addressed, like say they ask 3 or 4 questions, I'll simply copy and paste their
Hmm.
email into the reply and just answer below. If they've given like a 1, 2, 3 bullet list, I'll put one and then put the answer, two, put the answer. So there's some ways to like keep in line. Okay, I've answered all their questions that they've had.
Well, it tells you a lot about somebody. It tells you that they care about what you're saying. It means that they care about what they're saying.
Right.
That they value the relationship,
Definitely.
right? What anything else? What makes? I mean, you're how old?
19.
Oh, I didn't know that. You're even better than I thought. So, where did you get this from, and how do you know how to do it so well? How do you,
Um.
so what I mean is when I write him about something, like not immediately, but immediately, he responds with an answer. I mean, I don't know that things happen. He may not always be able to do that, but for the most part, you respond quick. So where did it come from?
Probably from both my parents. Both my parents are on top of their game. If they say they're gonna do something, they do it. So they've kind of probably ingrained that in me. So it kind of carried through, I think.
Hmm. So do you and friends that your friends don't? Do you have to keep asking them again for the answer? You
It
find
depends.
that?
I mean, it depends on the friend, but I'd say the majority of the time, most people aren't reliable like that. You find those
Right.
unique people, and then those are
Right.
the people you stick with because those are the people
Right.
you want to stay friends with.
Right. Well, it's an important lesson for all of us to just pay attention to, whether it's a phone call, whether it's we have so many ways of connecting and communicating. So just be a little cognizant of, did I finish that text? Did I answer that email? Did I make that phone call? And if you're on social media and you were supposed to respond to somebody, just make sure you respond. Sometimes I don't get rid of a message, like Messenger on Facebook. I don't get rid of the messages until I know I've responded. And then I can feel comfortable getting rid of them because I don't want too many things to fall through my cracks.
Right.
And then I use this really great app called Wunderlist, which is very
I
simple
have
to
the
use.
same app actually.
And do you use it?
Yes, yeah.
So
I
how
have
you
it
use
on.
it?
I have it like a widget, and I on my home screen, and I just take off all the tasks. If I have anything, I add it in, or I take it off when I
The
finish.
simplest things.
Yeah.
And I don't know what makes it so good because I use Evernote, but it's so simple. It's like right there. I can create a list for anything quickly. I can put things in the list, things that are like things that take up my mind juice, and I just put them there, and I don't have to think about it again. And then I just get rid of it, and it gives me a nice little ding, and I'm done. I love hearing the ding. It's crossing something off. I mean, paper doesn't ding at you,
Yeah.
but this dings. So it's a good thing. I highly recommend it. That way you don't let things fall through your cracks, right? So I want to welcome everybody that's already on the chat. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And once again, please feel free. If there's something on your mind that you are excited about, that you are pissed off about, that you just want to talk about, you want to be heard, you want to have a discussion about, please feel free to call me 919-518-9773 or computers, that's plural 2K voice. I love to hear from you, and today's show is going to be about these spontaneous conversations that we just kind of want to talk about, because when do you get a chance to just do that? And so love to hear from you. Let's see what's going on. The show isn't coming through, and there is, oh, do you see that?
Yeah,
We're
I
not.
see it.
Oh, are we not online?
We should be.
Well, maybe we are.
It says you're online. I mean, I see you're online here.
Okay, so we're good. Well, if you're not getting us, would you let us know that? Because somebody just wrote us on on our chat, and they're saying that they don't see us. But if you're not seeing us, well, you won't be able to let me know, will you? Funny. Okay. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, we're just going to kick back today, and we're going to chill and relax and just talk about whatever comes to your mind, whatever comes to my mind, spontaneously. This is your ticket, your license to be able to share whatever it is, whatever's going on in your family, in your life, whatever it is. But one of the things that I want to talk about today is public speaking. It's probably one of the scariest things that people do, and many people have to do that somewhere. And you do not have to have a job to necessarily speak in public. I mean, wherever you are, you could be speaking in the grocery store. You can be speaking in a restaurant, just asking for something. You can be complaining about something. Everywhere you go is an opportunity for expression of who you are. Sometimes maybe it's on a date that you're, needing to tell somebody who you are. So it's extremely important to, work on that fear of public speaking. And, one of the things about public speaking and the fear is somebody getting close to you, somebody knowing something about you. Maybe in a short period of time you say something and you're like, oh my God, why did I say that? Or why did I say it that way? And we really beat ourselves up for those things. So I thought today would be a really great opportunity for us to kind of talk some talking points about getting through some of those fears. Because what you're holding back in expressing yourself, somebody else really needs to hear. And so it's really relevant that we kind of spend a little time doing that. So would you, and so just so happens that I wrote an ebook about this, and I'm really interested in, going through some of these things. So in this book that I wrote, which is free on my website, this is not why I'm doing this. What I have gone through is some of the fears, plus, how we do our 30, which in some cases in a networking organization or wherever it is at a party, and somebody says, so what do you do? Or who are you? And it's that little blurb, that teeny tiny little blurb that you use to say, who are you? What is the first things that you're going to say? Are you going to say, I'm a teacher, or I'm a wife, or I'm a husband, or I'm a this, or I'm a that? I mean, so it's understanding, like, what do you say? And how do you ask somebody else who they are, and what do they say? So there's many of our opportunities that we have. And if you are in a business, it's, well, how do you say what you do at a party or on an airplane? If you're trying to sell something, how do you start to engage somebody who's sitting next to you in an airplane, if you want, to start talking, So there's opportunities to meet people anywhere we go, all around the world, in every situation that we're in. It's a playground for meeting people, for introducing ourselves, and for finding out who people are. So we're going to have a little fun with that today. So we're going to talk some about the initial engagement and the 30. But in my book, I talk about that, introducing yourself, the 30. I also talk about what it looks like to do even a tagline. Like if you are selling yourself, what is that tagline that goes along? It's like a rhythm. I am da-da-da, and I do da-da-da-da. So we're going to talk some about that, and also what you can do when you're doing a bigger talk. That's in my book. We're not going to talk about that today. That's for a later day. You can ask to get my book. It's free, and you can get it at MarilynShannon.com. So let's go to the first slide. Here we are, right? So it's a quick, powerful public speaking tool to grow your business, but it's always coming from your heart. Keep that in mind. That's what makes public speaking so much easier, is that when you do it from your heart, and it doesn't have to be memorized. Some things about what you want to talk about might be the key points that you might always say, but it does not have to be memorized. Keep that in mind. Here's a question that we have on the chat. Why do people fear public speaking in the first place? Do you think it's a learned behavior? Well, honestly, I think most fear is a learned behavior. A lot of fear is somebody else's fear that we've kind of taken on, that we've heard, that somebody else is telling us we should be scared about. Or somebody's telling us that we should be scared about things because we should be. So I think a lot of fear is based on somebody else. It is, public speaking is we're raw. We become intimate. We have all the eyes on us at one time, whether it's 2 eyes, 4 eyes, 6 eyes, 60 eyes. When you stand up in front of someone or a room full of someone's, all of their attention is on you. And it does, make people scared. I heard at one point, a long time ago, that Angelina Jolie, before the beginning of every movie, would get nauseous and puke because of the attention of all, and maybe there's more to it, but because of the attention that is placed on her. Now, you would think Angelina Jolie would be just fine and hunky-dory with attention. Why is she doing what she's doing? And yet, even Barbra Streisand, gets on a stage, and she used to have tremendous stage fright. Barbra Streisand, can you imagine? A magnificent voice would have panic attacks on stage. So I often think, well, if they can be nervous, well, I can be a little nervous too. It's just the extent of that fear. And what does it keep us from doing? That, to me, is the most important thing. What is it doing? How is it stopping you from going forward? If you want to be a speaker, if you want to get out there and share more about what you do, if you want to even just speak in a circle of friends or around a table of friends at a restaurant and you are apprehensive, then it's standing in your way. Then you want to do whatever you can to break free from that so that you can express yourself. Because even an opinion, I mean, how could you even offer an opinion if the fear of public speaking or being right or being wrong becomes a fear? So many people are fearful of being wrong, that they're going to say something and somebody else is going to catch them on a statistic, a piece of information that they're going to be wrong about, so they don't want to say anything at all. Well, that's not the case. Well, yeah, things like that happen, but we can still. So if you're give a piece of information that's not completely correct, well, then it's okay too. What's wrong with that? Then say, well, I'm sorry, I saw that the other day. How many times have I read something on a social media site and I will post it thinking that it's true, and it turns out that it's not true, and I go, oops, made a mistake. My heart was in the right place. I thought it was going to be right, and now I realize that it's not. So many times now I purposefully, when I'm seeing information like that, I will go ahead and check it out. But sometimes I just let it go and I just kind of like hope for the best. So here's another question on our chat. Now look, if you got a question about any of this stuff, please feel free to call me, 919-518-9773, or Computers 2K Voice on Skype, where you can take part in the chat. So here's one. Have you ever looked at whether there are cultural differences as to whether people tend to fear public speaking? For example, do Americans tend to fear public speaking more than the Swiss? That would be an interesting idea to look at. I have no idea, but that is a good question. Do you know, Nathan?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. But if anybody out there has an idea, that would be a good question. I have no idea. I would think, here's a thought. So that's a good question. Having fun with this is really relevant, is very important. If you come from a place that promotes having a sense of humor, that is very important in public speaking, is being able to have a sense of humor and not taking yourself so seriously. Because, like, for instance, here I am, right? I've done this dialogue thing before where it's only been me and Amnon, or me and Nathaniel, and then Chris is on the chat, or somebody else would be on the chat, where I have done certain topics,
Right.
and without, let's say, a guest to fall back on. And there are times that I'll say something and I don't like the way it comes out, and so I'll just go, I back up and I hear myself and I correct it. I haven't practiced everything I was going to say today. I'm just kind of like doing it. Well, what's the worst that'll happen? Like, what is the worst that'll happen at this juncture if I say something that in conversation I don't like? Then I can correct it. I can say something like, well, that's not how I intended it to come out. This is more about how I intended it to come out.
Right.
Right? So that works. And when you're standing up in front of a room of people, there have been many times where I have stood up in front of a room of people, and when I just come from my heart and I'm in that zone of being in my heart and like really feeling the connection, the thing is that people connect more about the emotion and the feeling that they're getting from me than the actual thing that I'm saying. I think people they don't even hear all of that as much as they hear a passion, or they hear the connection, or they hear the love, as opposed to some detail in what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What do you think?
The only thing I think might be a little bit of a possible another way to think about it is,
Yeah.
I think if you, in the moment, if you have the passion, that's the thing that's going to get people to like what you're saying. But
Right.
if you look at it in like a later sense, like in the future, people will look at more what you are saying rather than how you said it. So if you say stuff more inaccurately, or if it's a bunch of garble, they'll notice that more in the future rather than in the moment.
Well, this
So-
is a perfect time, and we're not going to get into the politics
Right,
of
right,
things.
right.
However, you can hear people say things politically, and we're not talking about who, what, when, where, how, but the passion behind what they're saying, the smile on their face, the way they're how poised they are, how they hold their body. It's not about what they're saying. It's about just that they're talking.
Charismatic, yeah.
Yes, and they're charismatic. It's not even about it's not even are they even speaking the truth, because how would we know if they are or they're not?
Right.
Some of those things we don't know, right? So it's just how convincing they are
Right. In the moment.
in the
Yes.
moment. In the moment. And then how often is it that somebody can in the moment be charismatic, say something that is not true, and then correct themselves later on, and it's as if they never said anything wrong again, if they never said anything intentionally wrong. How many times does that happen where people are caught? Multiple times.
Yeah.
Multiple times. But how we use our words, how we use the tone of our voice, how we show like love and care and forgiveness, being apologetic, and that's what people use in public speaking anyway. It's not just from husband to wife, wife to husband, boyfriend to boyfriend, girlfriend to girlfriend, mother to son, son to whatever. It's not even just there. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
It's how you use your whole body. It's how you use your hands. It's like, okay, I use my hands a lot. And sometimes I have to remember to put my hands down and hold them to my side, because in public speaking, that can be a distraction. Now, sometimes it's okay, but when I'm listening to myself, and that means listening to what I'm saying and listening to myself use my hands, then I say, oops, I'm using it too much. Let me put it down. And then I do. And each time you speak is learning. Each experience you have is a learning opportunity for the next time. And you might think that you forgot it the next time, but then it pops up again and you use your hands too much and you go, oh, there it is again. I'm using my hands too much. The third time you begin to use it less, or the fourth time you begin to use it less. So without the practice, but with the practice, you just get better and better at doing it and more comfortable. More and more, and I talk about different ways of getting more comfortable in this book. And one of the things that I do when I'm about to give a speech, which is the scariest thing to me, it's more scary than doing a 30-second commercial in an event, is I make sure that I'm there earlier than maybe everybody else, so that I get myself situated in my space, and then I'm there to greet people when they walk in the door, so that when I am greeting people, I'm getting a connection, so that when I'm done, I'm feeling like I know them. So when I get to speak to them, I'm feeling like I'm speaking to a room of friends, because I've made some kind of human connection, whether it's whatever it is that I talk to people about, like what made them come or who they are or what they do or whatever. And I do my best to remember who they are, so that, I can feel that when I'm speaking. Okay? All right, so let's, again, I welcome everybody to call in 919-518-9773, and then computers, plural, number 2, K-Voice, anywhere you are in the world. Love to hear from you, whatever your experiences are. Are you speaking? Are you not speaking? If you have spoken, what's been your experience speaking? What are your aspirations to speak? Anything. How are you using the ability to express yourself? Because every time you open your mouth in public, you're public speaking. So the next slide, please. All right, the next one. Okay. So once again, it's the opportunities for public speaking, for business and for pleasure, is everywhere. everywhere. How you formulate your thoughts of what you want to say, and you don't always have time for it. You can't always sit back and plan it. Sometimes you are forced in a moment to say something, and it's just right there how you're going to do it. So it's always a good idea to be in your heart, and I would practice in front of a friend, anybody, a mirror. Take a line of whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Hello, my name is Marilyn Shannon. Hello, my name is Susie Q. Whatever it is, and practice putting it into your heart and see how it comes out. It's a really good practice tool. Hello, my name is Marilyn Shannon. I mean, and then practice. So give me a line, Nathan. Any
Give you
kind
a
of line,
line for-
anything. Like, what are you doing later today?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm driving in rush hour probably.
So now say it. Now push your words a little further down into your heart and see it, and say the same line. Feel it in your heart. Say it. You go ahead.
Say
Okay, you just said just driving in traffic. How
Right,
you said
right.
it, right? Now push it into your heart,
Okay.
put it down, and then say the same line.
I'm driving down.
No.
I changed my voice too.
No, yeah, but that'll happen. So practice that, because when you take your words and you put it, you let it come out of your heart, there's a tenderness, there's a softness that comes. So if you practice that on like a regular basis, you're going to hear the difference between how you sound when you just come from your head and how you sound when you're in your heart. And when you're in your heart and you're speaking, there's more. You will automatically feel more trust in what you're saying, and people will connect with you much easier than when you're just speaking. But if you put it in your heart, you will get your point across. You will get more of what you're looking for, more of what you want when you come from your heart. So I would practice. So on this one slide, so public speaking opportunities are everywhere, right? So whether you're in a networking meeting, giving you a 30-second elevator speech, whether you are at a party, in the grocery store, giving a presentation, keynote, wherever you are, whatever conference you are, expressing yourself is a deep part of who you are. It's an opportunity, remember, to express yourself in the deepest. And no one can share your message exactly like you can. It doesn't matter what the message is, and I'm hoping that it's coming from your heart, so it's a good one. But nobody is you. You are wonderful, and whatever combination of words you're choosing to say and talk about, it is important that you say it, and that other people hopefully will hear it. And if it's not many ears, if it's just 2 ears or 1 ear, or you planting a seed, it is very important that you express yourself from your heart. You express your care, your concern, your information, what you've learned. I'm reading this book, and I have not read the whole book yet, but still in all, it's a great book. And every page that I'm reading is something shareable that I am like wanting to share. And so the book is called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And Elizabeth Gilbert wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love a couple of years ago. Did you ever hear of it, Nathaniel? Eat, Pray, Love? Great
No,
book.
I haven't heard of it
Yeah,
yet.
it's a great book. Anyway, she's a journalist, and it's wonderful. And so she is saying so many brilliant things that I am, every opportunity I can, I'm sharing. I don't know the whole story. I haven't finished reading the whole book. But whatever I've read, it's enough to share. And if all I have read was 1 page and that's all there was of this book, it's enough to share. And I value that. So I'm just saying, take every opportunity you can and come from your heart and share it. Okay, next, let me finish reading this. So there's something about you that is important to connect with. and that somebody else hears your message. And maybe you might be the one, and very often you are, the one person that they will hear that message from. Regardless of what it is, it may not even be your words. It may be just that smile on your face today. It may be just that you look somebody in the face. It may be just the perfect thing that that person needed today, that they needed in that connection. So do not hold yourself back, regardless. Okay, next page, please. All right. So I love this one. I think this is a very important page, and maybe some of what we've already discussed, but it's really important. So you are not alone in your fear. We all have lots of fear. And here's a Mark Twain quote. There are only two types of speakers in the world, the nervous and the liars. Because if anybody tells you that they get up and they're not a teensy bit nervous, they're not telling you the truth. And it's sometimes, you can turn that nervous into excitement, but there's still always a little something. Will they hear me? Will they get me? Will they understand what I'm trying to say? And not everybody will. I don't care how many people you're talking to or how few people. Not everybody will get it. But sometimes not everybody's wanting to get it, or in a place to get it, or it's not their time to get it, or somebody else is just meant to get it more. And I have spoken in many, many rooms where people have come over and have praised me and have told me, and with tears in their eyes, and then other people blank. And I can't take the blank as saying, what did I do wrong? I can only say it wasn't our time yet. That the person that was crying, that got it, listen, if all I do is make a difference in one person's life for that day, for a lifetime, that would be terrific. I mean, I would love to make a difference for many people, but if all I can do is make a difference in a person, then I'm got to be good with that. And public speaking takes practice. It takes practice, it takes skill building, and it takes, being conscientious, and it also takes knowing what you're going to talk about and feeling good about it, feeling that passion about it. If you're going to get up and talk about widgets and you don't know anything about widgets, look out. But if you know and you can talk about anything, if you're a great cook, get up and talk about spices. If you are a mechanic and you know about a certain car, there are people who want to hear about it. There are people who want to hear about everything. That is why YouTube is so important, because there are people on there talking about how-tos with everything. Everything. So do not, once again, hold back. It's very important. School. We talked a little bit before I got started. Tell me about a school and your job as far as public speaking.
Well, in high school, I started up our school radio club, and pretty much we did live performances in the gymnasium. There's about 200 students there. I was very not public speaking oriented. I was very closed off, but I went ahead since this organization was starting out, and I did a broadcast in front of all the people, and I got a lot of positive feedback. Some people didn't say the same thing like you. If I made positive feedback for some people, those are the people that I made the difference to. And over time, there was about 20 plus members by the end of my senior year that were working with the radio, and we were able to do that. And I was also the salutatorian of our school.
Were? Wow.
And so at graduation, I spoke in front of over 5,000 people, and I was confident, poised, and I give that a lot of credit to building up my public speaking in the radio at our school. So,
and do you love it?
Oh yeah, it's really nice. I feel comfortable up there, and I'm expressing myself to other people. So if they want to listen to it, I'm happy that they want.
So you're not tied to the result.
No.
Are you tied to the result?
In what sense?
Well, I mean, like having the whole room love you. I mean,
Oh,
that's
no. I mean, that's
very
guaranteed
hard.
that
Yeah.
You won't have everybody love you in the room.
It's if you are tied to the result. That's okay. For instance, if you are selling a book and you go out there and nobody buys your book and you decide never to do it again, see, that's not right, because it just might have been the wrong room, the wrong time. You know, it's not right. You go again and you try it again. If you are passionate about that book, then maybe you're talking to the wrong audience. You want to keep on going, is what's relevant. If you're talking about, you know, something, make sure your room is right. Make sure it's been promoted right. You know, just you should, whatever you're going to talk about, you should be able to do it with your eyes closed and show the love you have for it. And the thing is, which is brings me to Elizabeth Gilbert, because she was talking about people who are writing self-help books. And if you ask them why are they writing, it's because they want to help somebody. And she says, please don't help me. I'm all right. She says, do it because you love it. Get out there and speak because you love what you're going to speak about. Don't do it to help me. And when she said that, I thought that was so interesting, because I am writing a book about men. And I thought, oh, I want to help men. But you know what? Since I read that, I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, maybe that's not the answer. Maybe the answer is I want to do it because I love, you know, this idea of how men are, and I want to just share how men are. Not because I want to help men, just because I think men are great, and I want to share it. And I love sharing how great people are. Not because I want somebody to get help. You know, so think about it a little bit. Anyway, 919-518-9773 and computers 2K voice. And this next thing, no, go back. I didn't do that last quote. I'm sorry. Yeah. So all the great speakers were bad speakers at first. Ralph Waldo Emerson. That is very, very Emerson. That was very true. Without practice, it's hard to get out there and just like do it. So at least try to do it. And here's a few points. Make sure you're having fun with your message. Make sure it's something that you want to talk about, so that you don't even need notes. That when you get out there and you want to talk, you can just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. That it's something that you're that passionate about. And remember, you are a piece of what you're sharing. A piece. You are planting a seed. It may not be the entire bush. It may not be an entire tree. It may not be the whole forest. It's a seed. And anything may not happen with that one seed. If you're looking for something to happen, it may not happen until somebody else pours water on it. And then maybe it starts to grow. And that water may be somebody else comes to that same person and shares a little something else. And then that person who got the seed and a little bit of that something else says, oh, I can take this seed and I can take this water and I can get something. And it may not be till something else comes, and they may not ever know where they got the first seed. They may never remember you. They may never even know. It may just pop out of nowhere. And that's also okay. Because if you're looking for credit, if you're looking for a pat on the back, don't. Just go out there because you love to share. Go out there because you've got a message and it's inside of you and you just want to give it up. And if people can hear it, great. And if they can't, maybe they can't hear it now, but the seed is planted for another time. All you are is responsible for delivering your message. You are not responsible for what somebody does with the message, how well they hear it or what they don't hear. You are only responsible for sharing your gift. If you and everybody has a gift. I was just going to say if you have one. Whoop, that's one of those things where my mouth was going faster than what I wanted, because if was a habit of about to come up. If you have a gift, well, everybody has a gift. So the point is, if you know your gift is what you should share. That's important. Okay? So let's go to the next one. Whoops, I just skipped it on my computer because I can't see it on the screen. Okay, Let's talk about this one. So you do your best, and remember that your job is to plant the seed, right? And what somebody else does with it is up to them. You can't control what the seed does. You can only go out there and plant your seeds. So if you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change lives. That's in a perfect world, that's great. And it's possible that you can speak and that you can influence somebody to do something that they may not have thought about before, but you may not control it. It may happen, it may not happen. Your job is to just go out there. So here are some general rules of thumb that I like to share for when you walk into a room prior to speaking. So I get to the location where I'm going to be talking early, so that I said this. I can walk around, I can meet people, I get the lay of the land. Sometimes you're going to be speaking in places that you have no idea what it's going to look like. Sometimes you tell somebody, I would like it to be set up this way, I'd like it to be set up this way, and it is not set up any way that you wanted it to be set up. And you still have to speak. So you go in and you just take care of you. Any chance, every chance that you can before you're going to speak, you want to take care of who you are. Because if you're going to be the speaker, you want to love yourself to the max. And so that you feel comfortable in your own body, embraced by yourself to be able to speak. Because what you're holding on to, this gift, is inside. And your outside is taking care of the inside. So remember, prepare yourself, walk around, meet people that are in there, and make sure that your room is, that you're aware of who you are. Make sure that you shake hands with some people, say hello. I like to establish the eye contact and do a little small talk, just to kind of get to know people, and also for them to get to know me. Because sometimes people walk into rooms with a preconceived notion that they are going to like something or they're not going to like it. And it's a little easier for them to like you when they got to know you a little bit. And sometimes people are in rooms and they come in and they think, oh, this person's better than I am. Oh my God. Well, when they meet you and they realize you're no different than they are, you're the same as they are, it's easier for them to connect with you. It's easier for them to let what you have to say in, and as opposed to a wall. So it's really advisable to do that. Sometimes I have adjusted my talk depending upon who I've met in the room, and you can do that because sometimes you just have to. Sometimes I've sat up there and I said, you know what, I was going to say this, but I just met John Smith over there and he told me a story that is so important, and it has so much to do with what I was about to say, that I want to talk about this. So blah, 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 and I'll do that. And it really does bring in the people in the room. So it really does matter. A lot of times I hand out candy, especially if I'm speaking after lunch. That's a really important thing to do because people get tired. And remember, even when you're doing a 30s or anything, people get distracted easily. It's not always you. Sometimes it's you when you say something good. It's not you when they're just tired. When you say something good and it stirs their imagination, they might go off into la la land, and because you've painted some picture of something that it triggered something in their memory, in their imagination, in their day, whatever it is, and they'll go off and you'll lose them for a few seconds or maybe a minute. So what? Just ask them, if they could come back, or oh, I see you just went off. Do you, I saw you just kind of drift. Can I help you? Or is there something you want to tell me about your drifting? People have that happen sometimes. And what can you do? It's not you. It's not because you said something wrong. It's because you said something right. And if somebody doesn't take what you say in the love that it was given, you can't control that either. People come with all kinds of baggage to things, even in a 30-second, even in a contact in the grocery store. People are coming from different places. Just you come to the place in your best. You come with your heart, and you can't control the rest. Right? All right, let's go. Let's go to the next one. So when I'm speaking in public, I always wear a watch, and sometimes I'll even wear a stopwatch so that I can make sure, because when I'm concentrating on what I'm saying, it's hard for me to add and subtract. And if I know that I'm having like 10 minutes, I can't. When I looked at my watch and it said, oh, I was starting this at such and such a time, well, let's see, 10 minutes later would be this, or it's 5 minutes later, I'm not going to add. But if my stopwatch is going off and I see that it says 8, then I know. I don't have to think about where I started. I just know how much I have left, and I'm done. So I like to take care of myself as much as possible during these things. So I would definitely suggest that you do that. And I use notes, but I use one-word notes. And anyway, you can see this in my my book. You can go in there and get a little bit deeper about actually what we do. So here's a picture of, okay, so let's see. Let me go back a minute. Yep. So let's see. So here's a picture of all of us who are speaking and what we look like, right? All right, so here, as you build what you're going to say, there's some things, some questions that you want to ask yourself so that you say the things that you want to say. And there are some questions that you can ask of yourself. So here's certain things, like what is it that highlights the work that you do? You know, what is it that the product that you want to sell? What service do you want to provide? So as you're building the kinds of things that you want to talk about, you want to ask yourself certain questions that help build the information in there, because when you have 30 seconds, that's not much. Promise. It's a lot, but it isn't much. Whether it's for a product, a service that you're doing, or talking about who you are, at a party. What are the highlights when somebody says, "Who are you?" What are you going to say? I mean, sometimes people are not comfortable talking about themselves. So if you already have something that you can say, it makes it much easier. What do you excel at work? What is it what's your gift that you can talk about and when we talk about this 30, it's a snapshot of who you are, whether it's for, business purposes or pleasure purposes. It's a snapshot. And why do I keep using the 30? Some of you may know that, and I should have said that before. It's the time it takes for an elevator to go, to another floor. That's where it comes from. It can be 15 seconds, because really and truly, you don't have that much of somebody's attention usually anyway. So keep that in mind. It's a quickie thing. It's a snapshot of who you are. It's okay. So the next thing is how you can impact yourself or the world or a person, or what is it? Even if you don't say, well, I can impact you this way, it's the feeling that you have. Sometimes that feeling helps you get over the fear. Sometimes connecting with your vision and your purpose, not a lot of times, and the reason you do something is what is going to help you get over the fear. It will make a big difference in your getting off the chair and going to do something. A lot of times with my fear, before I get to speak, if I remind myself, my purpose in being there, what is it, what's my purpose, then it really helps me go and speak. Take that microphone and hit it when I connect with my purpose. So connect with your purpose. Connect with why you want to speak about that. What's your story? Why do you want to share your story? I'm passionate about people and freedom. I am passionate that we free ourselves up, that we can do whatever we want to do, that we are not controlled by somebody else, that we have the ability to say yes and no. How much yes, how much no. We have the ability to learn from each other, that we can pick and choose the things that we want, and that we can be free to speak out loud, to speak about something, for something. I'm passionate about it. So every time I come here, I am passionate about whatever shows we're going to show you that day, because behind that show is a purpose. Last week we did a great show on patients being the experts and designing their own health care, right? And we had 4 brilliant people, and I had to do a lot of work ahead of time to prepare for that show. And I kept saying, why am I doing this? It's a lot of work. Why am I doing this? And then I kept thinking to myself, well, these 4 people have such magic to share that if somebody is listening to this show and it makes a difference in the question they ask their physician, or the work that they do to figure out what's wrong with themselves, or how they develop a piece of technology that's going to support them or their loved one, then it's worth it. And that kept getting me through doing the show and preparing, because I figured, wow, that maybe there's somebody out here that just needs to hear this. And so, anyway, sometimes what you want to include is what you have achieved. You know, what good thing has occurred for you that you have, learned something from, and that you can share, because it's like your story. Like, what have you accomplished? Why, sometimes I know that for me, a lot of times I have been the experiment. I have been the example, because I have done a lot of things that I have made some major lessons happen, and I don't call them mistakes. I call them lessons, because then I get to come up here and say to you, like last week when I was introducing one of my guests who developed videos for her children because they had allergies. And I went to say what she did, and I could not, for the life of me, think of the word allergies. I just drew a blank, an absolute blank. And allergies, how could I draw a blank on allergies? I know allergies really well. We have allergies in my family. How could I not remember the word allergies? And in that moment, it just escaped me. And I just had to do my best to cover it up. And I'm sure I did not cover it up completely, because there was a space. There was a gap in what I was saying that I didn't know. I was lost. And I just said she developed these videos because she cared about her children. I did not say about allergies. And I went back and apologized to her afterwards. But I survived it. And will it happen again? Dear God, I hope not. But it probably will. But the point is, you just don't let that kind of stuff, interfere, because what are you going to do? It happens. What are you going to have happen? It's going to happen. So you just apologize. You roll over it. You look at the audience and you go, what is that thing, that word? And you have to have a sense. That's where a sense of humor comes in, because you got to have a sense of humor about this stuff. Otherwise, it's really hard to take yourself that seriously and beat yourself up that much. So things happen for a reason, and you're meant to be there for whatever reason. I was meant to have the word allergy slip through my tongue, and I lost it last week. Maybe it was all to be able to talk to you about it today. I don't know. Maybe it's important for me for the future. Maybe I'll never forget the word allergy again. But it happened. And what could you do? Okay, so what have you achieved in the past year? That's a good thing. Who your customers are, that's always a good thing to add when you're talking about your 30s. Where do you want to take your customer? Where do you want to find them? Where are they located? What do you want people to learn and understand from you? Have all of these kinds of things in your, mind when you're building what you want to say. And the thing is, do your best not to memorize these things. Let them just happen organically. I think people are much more comfortable when they allow these things to happen organically than when they are pushing themselves into a box that they have to memorize. When you know who you are so well that you can just say it, no matter who it is, no matter what room it's in, it just seems to be much more comfortable. So I have a lot more to share about this that I think is valuable for everybody to, take part in. I, welcome you to go to my website, MarilynShannon.com. You're going to see, prompts on how to do this. You're going to see what kinds of things to do when you're speaking. I take you through the 30. I take you through creating a tagline. I take you through doing a 10-minute, and I take you through doing a keynote. So, and if you know me, which by now hopefully you do, I wrote how I speak. So it's very street. It's not big words. Anybody can do it. There's some lessons in there to help you practice, and it's got some cute little pictures, so it's not boring. But I promise you, if you go through these pages and you practice each of these areas, you will get up and you will begin to speak. And please feel free to contact me at MarilynShannon.com for any questions about any of this stuff. If you need any support at all about public speaking, about your business, or about your personal life and how to express yourself, so that you are not sitting across from somebody and, you're not sharing who you are, please feel free to give me a call. I would love to help you in any way that I can. If you have an idea for a show that you would love us to explore, love to have the idea. Again, Marilyn at MarilynShannon.com. If you have something that you would like to share, and a tool, a strategy, a program that is freeing for us to share on our show, we'd love to have that as well. Because this is grassroots. This is the work that we all do together, whether it's emotional work, whether it's your business, whatever it is going to be done on our level. This is where we kind of pass it from me to you, from you to me, from me to somebody else, from somebody else to somebody else, from somebody else to somebody else. The information that we get to share and what we are learning together is being passed gingerly from my hands to yours and vice versa. So please feel free to connect with me anytime, and love to hear from you. We're here every Monday. You can find me on Facebook, Marilyn Shannon. You can find me on Twitter at Marilyn Listens. You can find me on LinkedIn. Please make friends with me. Send me your comments. Send me your quotes. Let me know what you're up to, because that's important. So, Nathaniel, this is your last day. We're going to miss you.
Thank you. Yep.
You going to come back and visit?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'll be pretty busy, but we'll see.
And you're going to be what when you grow up?
Chief Financial Officer of a music technology company.
Wow, big deal.
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to keep us informed, right?
Definitely.
We're going to say we knew you when, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, we loved having you.
Thank you.
So with that, everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we will see you very soon. Bye-bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.